Okay, I figured I'd just make a video. It'd be so much easier to kind of put this out, show you all the new stuff, tell you about some stuff that's going on, give you some updates. Because after probably this evening, we're on the road moving. It's like I promise you, like the desk is the only thing not packed up. It's funny, the whole house is empty, and then there's just this desk, so it's real fun. So first thing, not to get all sappy and everything, but I just want everybody to know how much I appreciate them. I appreciate their support, the community. Seriously, everybody I've talked to over the last 48, 72 hours. All I can brag about is the people who have supported and who make up this community. So I genuinely want to say how appreciative I am of everything in here. Sappy stuff out of the way. One thing that I'm doing right now, just while everything is going on, so we're getting extremely rate limited. We're processing to the tune of hundreds of thousands to millions of messages within minutes. And so that's getting rate limited. So what I'm going to do, majority of that volume is emails. A lot of people are sending out email campaigns, and our listeners picking that up. It's hogging up a lot of traffic. So the next 24, 48 hours, 24, 72 hours, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to parse out the email stuff. If you are actively using that, let me know. I can try to figure that out if that's like your bread and butter. But let me know on that. I'm gonna cut email access off for a little bit so we can prioritize the main channels of SMS, Facebook, live chat, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that should at least kind of put a band-aid over it until I can kind of sit down in this new place and shake some hands, sign some contracts, and get some multi-server stuff. I was talking to people this morning, so getting it done. So as far as beta access, chat beta access, things like that, I'm going to show you here on the screen how you can get into the new builder. I will preface that it will not process your messages yet. If you have an assistant that you're actively using every single day, I wouldn't go ahead and convert it. I'd convert a new one, just so you can play around and get used to the interface. The interface has a lot of buttons that will not work. The buttons I don't want you touching right now will not work, because those are things I'm actively working on. The things I want you to touch will be there. And I'll kind of explain what's happening behind the scenes too, and some improvements that is going to happen with our in-house model, in-house systems, and our in-house processes and parsers that have been built to make sure that your downtime is theoretically zero. So as I can think of, I see some stuff with voice. I'm taking a look at it, just doing a final check. My schedule for today is to at least get beta processing out, so you can message back and forth with this new thing, to get the listener put up parsing out emails, and then to go over everything, just a quick check, make sure everything's good, so that you can be sustainable for 24 to 48 hours. Fun part about working with AI, by the way, is they move just as quick, if not quicker, and then go high levels the same way. So it's a full-time job keeping up with all the changes and everything, which is what I do day to day. But that's kind of my immediate area of things I'm doing right now, which is why I have like 700 unread text messages and emails. So if I haven't gotten back to you, I'm not ignoring you. I just can't right now. It's the best description of that. But I'm trying to think what else. I think that should be it. So I do see all the stuff, and it's going to work on it. Oh, custom conversation providers. If I haven't said that already, I don't remember if I have in a video or not. Custom conversation providers are in there now, SMS based. Should be good to go. If you're using something like a third-party WhatsApp to use private WhatsApp, you should be able to use that just fine. This new V2 will also be able to use it. All the fun stuff. Okay, enough boring shit. Let's get into the fun stuff. Okay, so to get access to the new builder, a couple steps you need to do. I put this all on the front end so that you can do it. They sent it to private group ahead of time, but I thought might as well. It's not going to be able to process yet. You could at least have access to play around with it, give some feedback, yada yada yada. Right? With the understanding that you're actually getting access to a skeleton here just to play around with it, so you can have a little fun, you can have something tangible in front of you as I get the rest of stuff done. To get access, put in an OpenAI key right here. This is 32-bit encrypted. all the fun stuff here. So there's an OpenAI key. You click that, we'll unencrypt it there. It'll show you your OpenAI key. I'm not going to do that, and you should be good to go. Once you've done that, you go here to settings. You should see a button, access V2 beta here. Once you click that, nothing overwhelming happens. It just says your account is now on V2. You can revert it back to V1. No big deal. If you don't have that OpenAI key thing done and you click this button, you will get an error and you say put in your OpenAI key. So I would do that beforehand, just make life easier. Once you do that, nothing overwhelming happens. It says your account is on V2. Great. And you're like, what the hell happened? So when you go to your assistants now, you will see a little button, above the assistant that says convert to V2. Why I say do this on one that you're not using or a new one is because it's a permanent change, and it's also one that'll combine the models. So chat and voice will now become one in these new models. Again, they will not work right now. You're getting access to the skeleton just to play around with it, give some feedback on it while I work on the custom functions. I can share the rest of the stuff here in a minute. But all you do is if I take maybe this one, right, and I say convert to V2, you'll get a pop-up and it says access beta V2, and this model will now be converted into a V2 beta. It may take some time, maybe instant, depends on your model. Open that up, and there you go. So you get access to the new builder here. Just quick walkthrough here. Again, some buttons are not going to work. The things I don't want you clicking on will not work. The things that you can play around with, you can play around with. Your prompt is here. You can prompt, have all the fun stuff there, right? Everything saves automatically. You don't have to, click the save. In fact, this doesn't work because it has to be processed in a couple different models. But for right now, all this auto saves, right? And you're able to reference variables. No variables are in there for chat right now, but all that stuff will be in here. You can also generate a prompt. So you put in here, I need a sales rep for B2B, SaaS. You come in here, you generate a prompt. What we'll do is I have a trained model based on the task-based framework structure that we've kind of coined and given it access to kind of a repository. So here you go. You can go there. Now you have a task-based prompt, and you can come in here and play around with it however you want. And if you're like, well, this is too small to work into, you can just you can go here, and then you could play around with it in here too and save the changes or don't. Here it auto saves, but that's all the fun stuff there on prompting. Optimized prompt is just basically the same as general prompt. It'll just kind of push the prompt to there and optimize based on your stuff, but you can do the same thing with general prompt. All right, Toolkit, you're in the way. Let me bring you down here. All right, Toolkit, you have autopilot settings, knowledge calendars, tools, extractions, variables, and verbiage. And I'm going to explain exactly what these things do. Again, some of them are just skeletons, but it gives you an idea of what you'll be able to do here in a bit. As far as usability, everything pretty much has a little drop down here to tell you how everything works. All right, super, super clear. So you and your clients, we're all in the know about what everything does. Any questions that may come up will be answered here. And then also these little blue buttons that don't work will link to a direct documentation in the Help Center on everything to know about these things, basically elaborating on these little pop-ups here, right? You'll be able to change the model here, mini all the way down to 3.5 turbo, whatever you prefer. I don't know why you wouldn't go with 4.0 or 4 mini, but it's up to your preference. On easy onboarding, show checklist here. It'll show you what you have done, what you do not have done. And it'll basically be able to make it easier to kind of build these things and realize what you need to do and what you don't need to do. So autopilot here, these are parameters, kind of the edges of your sandbox for you to play into. Of something that's kind of out there in the wild, things that you don't have to mess with, right? So there's max replies. You can set max replies in a conversation. Say only after 10 responses, quit messaging this person. Wait time. This is just queuing rebranded. So you can set queue times there. Sleep mode. So what you do is you can turn this on, and so what happens is for sleep mode, when a message comes from a user or workflow, whichever that may be, because we kind of can't tell the difference, right? If it's not coming from an AI and the AI is active in the conversation, it will go to sleep for that time being. So you can come here and you can say for 90 minutes, when I send a response to the contact, the assistant is not to step in for 90 minutes. There you go. You turn that on and off, and you can set the time frame. It could be 5 minutes. It could be 3,000 minutes, whatever. And it just will not respond in that time frame. Okay, so the next thing, and again, skeleton. But what will be here is you'll be able to select the channels that you do want it to reply into and the channels you do not want it to reply into. So for example, if you have one active on a contact, you have the tag on there and you don't want to take it off because you're emailing them or whatever, live chat, whatever, right? You'll be able to select what you do want and what you don't want. Even if the tag is on there, but you have email turned off, we will not respond in email. We won't respond in email at all right now, but generally on this infrastructure, right? That's another thing. Conversation provider, we're getting our own custom conversation provider to go in there for calling so that you can tangibly see all the calling metrics, recordings, transcripts, everything in the actual go high level conversation and not just the notes. That's side note. Don't worry about it right now. Right, so this is autopilot, some fun stuff in there. Settings is your basic LLM settings, temperature, top P, max tokens, whatever you want in here. Have a good fun time. Knowledge, so this is how it's been in Vector Store. Again, it won't be able to access these because that transition to a new Vector Store semantic search provider is going to require some backend stuff that may have to happen on a late night. But you just go in here, add knowledge, you click which one you want, and it goes there, populates. You can click here, add knowledge, and you can switch them out. Good stuff, right? Calendars will not do anything, but what happens in calendars is when you click on the calendars, you'll be able to add multiple calendars, a description of those, kind of like the integration sections in chat right now, and then we'll be able to call to those tools. This is the fun part. This is what's taking a little bit of time here. So if you go to add function, right? So you have tools, add function. Anything you create in here will be deleted when it goes prod. Unless there's not a lot, then I may just check with people. But and of course, these do not work right now. These are templates, placeholders to kind of show you how this works. So we have the pre-built functions, which is kind of the ones you see in chat now, right? These are the appointment booking, the get available times, yada, yada, yada. And because this is both chat and voice, these will both be referenceable under the same name, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This model is going to work, either way. But we'll have our pre-built ones here. I'm just restructuring them for both infrastructures. And then making sure everything's under the same name. All the stuff you see, like get available appointment time, select a calendar, book an appointment, task notes, whatever. That'll all be in here, and you actually will not be able to see this edit button and delete button. It's just because I'm looking at it. But you'll be able to see add to assistant or remove, right? So if you add them, just for the idea here is now you have these, access to these tools. And of course, you remove them, you don't have access to tools. So the fun thing about this is being able to create your own. And so you'll come in here and you'll say, here's my name of what I want it to do, the description of what I want it to do, here's where I want it to send data, and then the parameters. So this is just an easier version of what you see in voice today. So instead of that hard code, it's an easy interface to build functions. What makes this one super, super cool is if you want to do something native to go high level, like sending an invoice, doing anything of that sort, you can do authorization. So whether it's Zillow, you're working with someone, another platform that needs an API key, we will actually do that for you here. You just put in your API key. Or if you need to do a go high level service that requires the OAuth 2 API key, you can take advantage of our infrastructure, click use CRM key, and we will put your OAuth 2 key in there so that you can use go high level endpoints. Make it really easy on yourself. And the parameters here, instead of doing that whole code thing, we'll do it for you. Just give us a name. And then you tell us what it is, right? The name of the user. And then you can add these, you can subtract these, whatever you want to do. The things that are missing from here right now is you will have to initialize this, right? So unlike the custom functions now where it's like, you have to call it, whatever, for chat and voice, you'll have to initialize it. When you initialize it, you will get a response back. And you will tell us what response you want us to feed back to the AI. Also, a prompt injection on top of that. And for most use cases, webhooks, it's like whatever, right? It's just like received. But this allows you, especially with the authorization, to go out to different platforms and bring data back into the models live in chat and voice, whatever it is, right? Example, we go to Zillow, we use our Zillow API key, we put in the address as a parameter, and we say the address of the user. We send that address over to Zillow with the authorization, and then you tell us what you want back. So Zillow will send some stuff back, mostly code shit. But you can say, out of that whole thing, I want the property value. And you select the property value. We will parse it, and we will give the property value back to the AI. Also, with that, we'll be able to give that the prompt injection. So if you have something that you want to, a way for it to display that data, do some analysis on that data before it gives it back to the user, you will be able to do dynamic prompt injection along with the data back from the API if you're using it in an advanced use case like that. If not, don't worry about it. But pretty fun stuff, right? I thought it was super, super scalable, super, super fun. Extractions, this is just going to be like you extract a custom value, except we'll do this via webhook or we'll do it native to go high level, and you just tell us what you want, where you want it, custom value, custom field, external webhook, wherever you want it. It'll just run dynamically through the conversation. Verbiage, variables. So this is just setting your own variables. These will be account wide, so they're scalable. So if you have a nice prompt that you use over and over again, just grab that prompt, put it in a variable, and then you can reference it in any of your models on Beta V2. And so that way you can build it once, use it forever. Very cool. Last thing is verbiage. So verbiage, what you'll be able to do is on the back half of the response, you'll be able to replace words, replace verbiage, replace phrases. And so it'll just kind of allow you a front end to parse, and we'll do all that stuff for you. It's real, real cool. Some things that you're seeing as far as how the actual infrastructure changes, the nerdy shit that kind of makes this thing run, right? So we have a handful of really, 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 really robust parsers. One is the go high level email API parser. So now we can take, 400 lines of code from go high level email API, and we can turn that into a tangible, readable text message. Very, very cool. That'll be an API endpoint if you ever want to use it, whether you're using your own go high level stuff, you're doing whatever, and you need to parse HTML, JavaScript, CSS, and any of the other languages out of a piece of text, use the endpoint. The other thing is Markdown and Markdown to BB code parser. If you don't know what those two things are, don't worry about it. I'll explain it. Sometimes when the AI responds, it puts hashtags in there or stars to bold things. On the actual response that goes out to the contact, let me bring you up here so you're not looking down or look up at me. On the actual response that goes out to the contact, we will remove all of that preemptively. So anything to do with Markdown, all the crazy shit that AI does, sometimes we take all that out. On the actual conversations tab in our stuff, we actually convert it to BB code, meaning that we take what is Markdown and we make it like actual, like you can see it, right? So instead of it just being hashtag, you'll see header in the text message. So it makes the interface here look very, very nice, very understandable. You don't see all that crazy code. And then customer facing, it'll be tangible, just readable text, right? Super, super easy. We have a nice variable parser that'll be there as an endpoint if you ever want to use it. This also kind of goes into the developer portal coming later. Not getting into anything crazy there. And there's also a couple other parsers that we will use, like the API response parser. A lot of fun stuff on the back half of that. So that's how you access it. That's what's going on. You have me for about 12 hours here, and I seriously need to help my wife. She's done a lot of the work. She's doing it. And so I would just ask if you can let me do that. That would be super, super cool, just for like the next 24-ish hours, just so we can get moved into the house, and then you can bug me all you want. And like I said, if you send me a message, send me an email, send me a text message, wherever you usually communicate with me and I haven't gotten back, I'm not ignoring you. I'm going through everything there. My focus right now is getting this tangibly out, getting the rate limiting thing fixed as soon as possible so we don't run into that issue of messages don't showing up. The assistant infrastructure also plays into there too. Brief explanation, we get rate limited, and then we have good rate limit handling, so then we send it to OpenAI, and then OpenAI rate limits, and then we just get into this loop. Doesn't work out well. Having it in-house makes it a lot better, and you can also see the amount of parsing and manipulation we can do with this data to make it more tangible. There's a lot of big words, but yeah, the overall thing is good to go, all right? And then like I said, I see some of the stuff on voice. I see some of the stuff there. I'm going to take a look at some of the stuff, make sure everything's good. I will not leave anybody hanging before I go out there. I'm just going to make sure everybody's taken care of. If I see a common problem, you'll get a video. You'll get updates pushed. It's a lot. I'm kind of scatterbrained right here, so if I talk your head off, sorry about it. I'm trying to think anything else. No, it should be good. You have my to-do list. You have what I'm doing about some of the stuff. As far as like the rate limiting, again, never thought we'd see this volume in this amount of time. It's absolutely crazy. Very, very appreciative for the support. I literally never thought I would see this and see it in the time frame that we have. So it's a problem, but it's an a humbling problem nonetheless. It's very, very cool to see. So you have my to-do list, you have what I'm going to do as far as like, stuff like that. You also have access to look at this. You can play around with it. You can run simulations. I'll do that here while I talk. You can run the simulations. You can get used to this new interface. You can kind of see some of the stuff that I'm using to make sure that you and your clients are getting onboarded faster. I will take feedback, but I think after this, we're going to worry about some other stuff. So if it's not completely out of scope, I will add it to make it easier. But if it is completely out of scope, sorry, I'll throw it on the back half of the to-do list. But this should give you access to play around with it. Again, some buttons are not going to work. The ones I don't want you touching right now are not going to work. The ones I do want you touching will work, right? All that fun stuff there. But at least gives you access to play around with it. And then again, as this kind of happens over the next 12, 24 hours, there you go. And you can kind of see, this is what I was talking about, BB code. You just get a nice, you get a nice display of all this information. I have a ton of other updates. I literally just don't have the time. It's like all this stuff, very, very cool stuff. But I have to get this out and help my wife move. So enough talking your head off. Thank you so much for everything. Really, really appreciative for everybody in the community. You've treated me better than I deserved, and I hope I do the same to you. Hope these updates are really, really cool. Hope everything is up to standard and looking amazing. Have a nice Tuesday, and I'm sure we'll talk on Friday. Thanks so much.